Hi everyone, I'm gonna do the tic-tac-toe answers and I'm gonna explain the hard problems on that worksheet. Some problems are very straightforward, so I hope you are able to do them. There are a few that are like a little tricky, so I'm gonna do steps for the tricky ones. Okay, so the first problem was asking you to find, I think, the arithmetic mean given the two numbers 24 and -8. And how you do the arithmetic mean is you add the two numbers and you divide by 2. So I'm going to do that. So -8, not 0.8. 24 plus -8 divide by 2. And you get 8. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. So that's the arithmetic mean given the two numbers. Second question. They gave us the pattern -8, -7.33 repeating, or -7 1/3, and third term is -6 2/3. And they want the 10th term, or a sub 10. Well, to do this, we need to figure out what the pattern is, and we have to check what's happening, and D is what we're looking for because it's an arithmetic sequence, and that was given. So we're looking for D. So what are they adding or what are they subtracting? So going forward, we can figure out that the numbers are going in the positive direction. Like imagine you're on the number line, you're going from -8 to -6 2/3. You're going towards like the positive direction. It's obviously going towards like positive numbers, or going towards, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So if you're imagining on the number line, you're going to go in the positive direction. That means like they're adding something, because in the negative, when you're in the negatives, you're going towards the positive. So they're adding something. So what are they adding? Well, by looking at it, we can figure out that they're adding 2/3, because if I'm on the number line and I'm at -8, and all of a sudden over here I'm at -7, and they're saying, all right, well, I'm at -7 1/3. Well, that means, if we break it up by threes, that's a third, and that's a third, and all of a sudden you kind of jumped 2/3 from -8 to -7 1/3. That's jumping 2/3. So that's like how I see it, and I know a lot of you maybe think about it in different ways as well, but visually that's how I see it. But also there is like a mathematical way to figure it out if you wish to just calculate it. If you think that's calculating is like faster and easier, that's fine. We're open for multiple ways of doing a problem, as long as you have a logical reason. So let's see. So sometimes people would like to reverse the addition. So they're like, all right, well, what if I subtract backwards? Should I get the same thing? Yes, because the common difference, if you reverse, you can get the same thing. So -6 and 2/3, if I change that to a fraction, so -6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 is 20, so you have -20/3, and again I'm subtracting backwards, so minus, this one is 21, plus 1 is 22, so -22/3. So I'm just changing the mixed numbers to fractions so that I can calculate it. Okay, so that's -20/3 plus, because double negative makes a positive, plus 22/3, which is 2/3. So it's either you can think about it and figure it out, like, right away, or if you're having trouble seeing it, that's fine. Maybe, you can do the calculation, then you're going to realize, what it is. So you can reverse the addition by going backwards and subtracting. Okay. So we need to calculate a sub 10. So the explicit formula needs to be written here. And we said, all right, well, an easy way to figure out the explicit formula is a sub n equals d, which is 2/3, n, so we put d times n, plus, and we do a sub 1 minus d. A sub 1 is -8 minus d. So -8 minus 2/3 is like -8 and 2/3. Again, that's imagining like I'm on the number line. I'm going from -8, also subtracting 2/3. So a third and a third. And I'm going in the negative direction because I'm subtracting. So I have -8 and 2/3 going towards the -9. Alrighty, well, right now they want a sub 10. So let's figure that out. Let me erase this. And I know we went over this in class, but a lot of people were absent, so I'm hoping you can log in and figure it out by watching this video. 2/3 times 10, -8 and 2/3, or you can change it to a fraction. So improper fraction, in that case, 8 times 3 plus 2. 26/3. So you have 20/3 minus 26/3 is about -6/3, not about exact, and that's -2. How did I get that? Again, 2/3 times 10, that's 20/3. Minus 26/3 is -6/3, which is equal to -2. So a sub 10 is -2. Yay! Alright, let's do number 3. So this one, they gave us that the 8th term is 23 and d is 16/5, or 3.2, which in that case I think is going to be helpful to switch that to 3.2. And they want us to figure out a sub 1. Well, let's try to write the explicit formula, which is very helpful. A sub n equals, well, d, which is 3.2, times n plus x. Well, x is a sub 1 minus d. Alrighty, well, I know that the number in the 8th position is 23, so a sub n is 23 if 8 is the position, so plug in 8 for n, plus a sub 1 minus 3.2. If I multiply 3.2 times 8 and then subtract 3.2, I am combining like terms. So 3.2 times 8 minus 3.2, that's 22.4. So 22.4 plus a sub 1. Again, I am combining like terms. So multiply, then subtract this. And that whole thing is equal to 23. Well, how do I move the 22.4 to the other side? Subtract it. So minus 22.4 to the other side, and all of a sudden a sub 1 should be 0.6. Alrighty, so how do you figure out a sub 1? Well, you still need the explicit formula. Alrighty, let's do number 4. Question 4 looked like 579, and then it's going on to 99, and then 101, and it looked like it's an arithmetic pattern. They are adding 2, so d is 2, and a sub 1 is 5, and they want to know how many terms are in that sequence or series. They were, I think in the worksheet, it's a series. They're adding instead of commas. But they want to know how many terms. So if we look at the last term, if I can figure out the position of the last term, then this is how many numbers that I have. So again, the explicit formula, a sub n equals 2n plus a sub 1 is 5 minus d. So 5 minus 2 is 3. Well, I want to know the position of the last term because, if the last term is in whatever position, that's how many numbers I've got. So 101 equals 2n plus 3, and I'll solve for the position, which is n. And if you do so, subtract 3, you'll have 2n equals 98. Divide by 2, n is 49. So that means this number over here, the 101, is in the 49th position. It's the 49th term. That means we have 49 terms. So 49 terms, that's what we've got. Alrighty, so looking at the last term, let's do number 5. So this one is kind of tricky because it's a little bit more challenging to figure out if it's an arithmetic or geometric, and by looking at it, you might not notice, and I didn't notice when I first looked at it. So if we analyze, and I think we had some people do it correctly, if we analyze and subtract backwards to just figure out the pattern, we'll see that there's a common difference of -1/6. And I know in class we had an explanation for this, but let's show it again for people who are absent or not here for all my classes. So if I subtract backwards and the numbers are the same, again for same reason, because I'm reversing the addition. They're adding or subtracting something forward. So if I subtract, I can figure it out. So if I do 1/3 minus 1/2, that's the same as doing like 1/6 minus 1/3. So if I subtract any two terms backwards, I'll have it. So just going backwards, like the red arrows. So 1/3 minus 1/2. Well, get a common denominator. Multiply by 2, multiply by 3 over here. You'll have 2/6 minus 3/6. Well, that's -1/6, which is the difference. If I do a common denominator here, also I'll have 1/6 minus 2/6, and that's -1/6. So it doesn't matter if you do the third minus the second or the second minus the third. It doesn't matter. As long as you're subtracting backwards and there's a common difference, then it's an arithmetic. So let's figure out the 20th term, given now that we have the common difference. So we have a sub n equals, and I'll kind of try to erase faster, a sub n equals the pattern, or d, times n, plus a sub 1, it's 1/2 minus 1/6. Well, 1/2 minus 1/6, or minus a -1/6, a sub 1 minus d. A sub 1 is 1/2 minus d, which is -1/6. It's the same as 1/2 plus 1/6. Get a common denominator, so multiply by 3 here and 3 there. You'll have 3/6 plus 1/6. Well, that's 4/6, which is the same as 2/3. They want a sub 20. So a sub 20 means I need to plug in 20 for n. So a sub n equals -1/6 times 20, or -20/6 plus 2/3. Well, I know -20/6 is the same as -10/3. So that reduces to -10/3 plus 2/3, which ends up being -8/3, or 2 2/3, if you want to change it to a mixed number. Alrighty, so that's number 5. I'm going to do another video for the rest. Please keep going and watch. Thank you so much.